All right, welcome back to RDNA. We're on episode 22 officially. It's
Mhm.
been a few weeks. It's good to be back. We
Yes,
have
sir.
Philip as well as David Medina. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Good, good. It's hot
Yeah,
out there, huh, Philip?
it's hot, bro. It's hot. 104 today.
Yeah, we don't. I don't have that problem.
Right, it's
I'm in my
hot.
sweater. I'm in my AC right now.
Yo,
Hmm.
I'm in the AC right now, but you go outside. That's when you don't stay out there long. And that's why we're going to be opening later because people don't come out until about 4:35 when it cools down just a little bit.
Yeah, it
It's about
makes sense.
90 something, and
It's too hot to buy a car.
yeah, when you touch that steering wheel the wrong way, when it's 100, it's been closed up. Oh my God.
Man, I didn't go to the valley today. How was it out there, David?
It was warm. It wasn't anything crazy. Yeah,
Not
good
yet,
weather.
right?
Yeah, no, it's gonna warm up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Here it's come. Yep.
Yep.
But he was telling us about his trip to Amsterdam.
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh yeah,
say, David took a trip to Amsterdam. Tell us
yeah.
about it.
It was a lot of fun. Here, Philip. Meanwhile, can you just
You
mute
need
your
to
mic? Sorry
mute
about that.
your
Yeah,
Philip.
there you go.
So
All good. And yeah, no, it was a good time. I mean, it's a whole different world out there. It's a very big culture shock for me, as I've only been to Mexico and Canada. And Mexico. I mean, I have family over there. I've been there with family, and it's a little bit of a culture shock, but not as much of a culture shock as a whole different continent. Like Europe is just very different, and there's a lot of differences and a lot of similarities. Don't get me wrong, but it just it felt different, and it was even interesting to be kind of seen as somebody that is American and seen as like already like a stereotype because me and Noah we kind of ended up in certain places where people would come up to us and be like, "Oh, you're American, huh?" And we're two dudes that look way different from each other. I mean, he's Asian and white, and I'm Mexican, and like the
right.
fact that they just spotted us and were like, "You guys are Americans," and like this guy just came up to us randomly and just kind of like started offering us drugs, and we're like, no, we're good, like we're not
Thank
interested.
you.
And he got really mad at us and was like, "Oh, you Americans, you're all rude and you're all terrible. I heard about you," stuff like that. And I was like, wow, we're just walking here, like we're literally just walking to a
You didn't
plaza,
buy
but
his drugs? So you're
yeah,
rude?
just because I didn't buy his drugs, he got mad. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna buy some random stuff from some random stranger. No.
Right.
So it
That's
was very
hilarious.
interesting. But I mean, that wasn't the whole Europe experience. But it's just the funny things that you notice are there's just very little differences, but they make a whole new world.
It is a different experience, a completely
Hmm.
different than being in Mexico or US
Hmm.
or Canada, right? Completely
Yep.
different continent, different
Yep.
history.
Different flight. It took 13 hours to get over. That was awful.
Dang,
Yeah,
13-hour
I'm
flight.
not into flying. I'm not into it. You don't like flying, right? If I remember correctly, yeah,
I
you hate flying.
will I will avoid flying at all costs. I'm going to
That's funny.
Arizona next month or next week. We're driving 8 hours. Mind
Yeah.
you, tickets are like I could fly to Cancun and back on the prices just to fly to Arizona right now. So I'm saving some money too.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're gonna drive there, you said?
Yeah, we're driving out there.
Oh,
Cameron's
okay.
in a basketball tournament. So
Hmm.
we're going out there, spend a
Hmm.
week, support him, maybe
There you
see
go.
some friends and family while we're out there, but just kind of a quick in and out. But tell
That
us
sounds
more
fun.
about your trip. So 13-hour flight.
Yeah.
How's that? How was that for somebody who
Um,
doesn't like to fly?
13 hours was not fun. I mean, it's not that I don't like flying, it's that I don't like being in a confined space very long.
Okay.
And luckily the people I was next to most of the time were very respectful, very nice. I mainly fell asleep during most of the flights just because I didn't know what else to do. Like the first night leaving, I pulled an all-nighter that day just so I could make sure that I fell asleep
You were
like at
asleep.
least half of the trip. And I was asleep for half of the trip, which was nice. And it's nice that they provide movies and stuff, but oh my gosh, it was a hassle, as somebody who likes to move around, who doesn't like to sit down all day, who likes to, be a little active with his day. It was very hard because I basically took like half my day just flying, and that was basically 24 hours of just flying back and forth. A whole
That's
day
a
was
whole
lost
day,
doing
really,
that.
12
Yeah,
hours. Like,
exactly. So it was, yeah,
so was
especially on
it
the
a
flight
straight,
back. Oh, that was even worse.
was it a straight flight from,
No, there was layovers. That's the problem. There was like, I think the first flight was like 5 hours, and then a layover, and then another like 8 hours, and then or whatever the math is. But
right.
like pretty much a whole night's sleep. But I tried my best. But I took
Yeah,
some melatonin gummies just to fall asleep, and that didn't even help. It was bad.
didn't help.
Yeah, it's hard to
That's,
sleep in a position next to random strangers.
so the flight back is worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Those
Yeah.
When you got
details.
a tailwind and you look at the speed and you go, oh, geez,
Mm.
we got a tailwind. It's pushing us. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I think when we flew back from Mexico, it was quicker than when we flew
Really?
there. Something like that.
Hmm.
Took a little longer. So just depends on the day or the wind, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But
The weather. Like one time we went to Vegas and
Hmm.
we had a 80 knot tailwind. We got there. It's usually about an hour and 30-minute flight. I think we got there in like 59 minutes or some
oh wow,
crazy thing. I
cut
mean, the
off
thing
30
is
minutes.
just going,
Hmm.
man, with a strong tailwind. Now, consequently, if you go on in the opposite direction, that headwind will just eat up your fuel. Just
Oh, I understand what you're saying now.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the engine's working just as hard. Whereas when that
Hmm.
tailwind, it's not working hard. The
It's like
plane's
when
being
you're
pushed
running.
by the wind.
I remember running on the track field, and when you felt the wind on your back, you're like, "Oh yeah!" And then as soon as you turn around
Yeah.
and the wind's against you, you're like, "Ah, no." So yeah, I know the same idea,
That's
just
funny.
bigger
Huh.
concept. So, give us a highlight, give us a low moment, a high moment, and then we'll keep
Okay.
going. But yeah,
Low moment, high moment. Well, sorry, Noah, for exposing you on this one, but a low moment for us was literally as soon as we got off and got into the terminal where we had just landed into Europe, into the Netherlands, and we were just going to the airport, walking out, and his credit card or his debit card or whatever, we were both trying to take out some euros, and the first thing that happens is his card gets stuck in the machine and we're not able to get it out.
no
So we're
way.
stuck there for like an hour trying to figure this out. The people there were rude. They didn't help us. Like we asked three different people and they all told us we can't do anything. And it just had to do with the bank or something like that. And we had to wait and all this and yada, yada, yada. And it just didn't work out. So I had to basically pay for the whole trip and he would just Zell me every time we bought something. So that was pretty hard. And then on top of that, I finally just said, all right, let me do this. I went to outside to a different ATM, took out money, and I didn't realize how much they upcharged. Um, like I know that the USD to euro is a lot less, but they also charged a thing. So I ended up basically spending like almost $300 on just getting us cash.
Mm,
And that was like
that hurts.
that whole day we were just very like upset and very
It
defeated
hurts.
by like everything that was going on, and we just didn't know what to do. So we were pretty upset, and we wanted to, you know, we just ended up at the hotel and hanging out there for a while, and it was a mess.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. That could be going towards
Yeah,
an event, restaurants, food.
exactly.
Right?
Anything. I definitely went over budget this trip, at least $1,000. But you know what? The next days that followed were amazing. Like one of the
Okay.
best moments was probably what is the best moment? There was a lot of good moments. There was a lot. I think there was this one time where we went to, I don't remember the town, but there was this big cathedral looking building, and just like exploring that area was really nice. We went like on a canal tour in that town. Oh, it was called Harlem, the city of Harlem over there. And
Interesting.
you just got to see everything, and it was a beautiful day, and just I don't know, just an amazing experience because everything over there is just arts, like artistic. Like everything architecture wise is just beautiful. The only thing I will say that it really upset me or made me weirded out was that there was no live music. I couldn't find any live music. We went to different bars, we went to different spots. Like there was just nobody was playing live music, and we're so used to that over here that I just, it felt like a
Interesting.
treat to come back to that here in America.
They
I don't
need
know if
to
it's just
Creative
time-wise. I don't
collective
know.
over there. They need
We
someone
tried.
pushing.
We actually threw an event and it didn't work out. But you know what? We met a cool guy that was really respectful and nice to talk to.
So you threw an event while you're
Yeah, we
out
threw
there?
an open mic. We threw an open mic out there, and nobody showed up. But you know what? We got a bar to accept it, and you know we set up something, and it was going to be something, but marketing just wasn't where it was.
Hey, that's pretty dope that you guys tried though. While you're
Yep,
there, you noticed the need right then and there, and you like go for it. That's pretty
yep,
dope.
yep.
Yep.
We almost got it. It was still fun talking to the bar owner.
So what did they say about America?
What did they say
With
about
all,
America?
yeah, with
A
all the
lot
stuff
of
that's going on about, I'm sure they have an opinion on us.
oh yeah, definitely everybody who brings up America brings up our presidency and talks about him and talks about how they feel about him. And I did not meet one person that was a fan of his over there. Let's just say that, which tells you a lot, you know. I mean, especially if you come over here and you talk about Russia, for example, and everybody knows their guy, and
Right.
there's not one person here that's going to say a good thing about him that I know of. So it's kind of like that over there, you know. That's how they
Mhm.
see him, if that makes sense.
Interesting. No, yeah, that's
Yep,
a good analogy.
yep. So it was
Yeah.
very interesting seeing that. And like speaking of the bar owner that I just told you about, he literally like since we didn't have anybody there, we just talked about America and you know presidency and all that. And he talked about how much he you know didn't like him and how he understood all this stuff.
So yeah, you found that there was no positive comments about our, I guess, our
Yeah,
president.
it was very interesting. There wasn't too many good comments about America in general over there. They
Did
definitely
they
see
ask
us
you
as
any
a
good questions as an American? Like, did you get certain questions?
mhm.
Like, I'm watching the Queen's Gambit the other day. We were rewatching it, the show on
Mhm.
Netflix. Interesting show or
Yeah.
series. I liked it. But at one point, this kid, Russian kid, comes up to her and she's like, "Is it true they have movies where you watch it in your car?" Or like, she's like,
Were
"A
you what?
drive-in where you watch the movies in your car?" And the girl's like, "A drive-in?"
Oh,
He's
that's
like, "Oh,
funny.
I would love to see that one day in America."
Mhm.
Like, you know, because I know at certain points too, we have things that they don't. That even if they don't like our president, they may like our style or our music, you
Yeah,
know, or,
that is for sure.
something of which I think we have a lot of influence
Yeah,
around the world when it comes to like culture or like
yeah,
music style
definitely.
pop. So yeah, I didn't know if they asked you any questions on that along those lines about America.
You know, they now that I think about it, sorry, I'm still getting over this cold. They kind of did bring up some stuff like that. You know, I mean, they'd ask about like since we're in LA and California, they'd ask like, oh, what kind of famous people did you know, or you know, because the automatic assumption living in LA is you know somebody famous,
You
and
probably,
maybe I do. I don't know.
hey,
You
I
know,
know you
there
said you
was
had some friends that wrote some things or had some stuff on, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
or
I
produced
mean,
some
yeah, we all
things.
have connections somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Whether you know it's not like I know like Ryan Reynolds for example, but you
Yeah.
know I mean like that's what they expect.
You may not be A listing it, but
Yeah, well you know I'm getting there.
yeah, you got somebody on your roster.
Exactly, there are definitely interesting people that were always asking interesting questions. I can't really you know it's funny because a big thing out there is you know marijuana and like the bars they have bars like that over there instead of bars of drinking. I mean they have both. But the one thing they would always ask is it California is better or is or is it over there better?
Or
And
is
I
it-
was like, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. That would be always the question I get.
That's a good question. Whose stuff is better? You don't
Yeah,
have a you don't have a
yeah.
you couldn't come out with a decision?
I don't even know. I'm not a connoisseur like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, then I guess you could. You're the wrong person to ask, then, right? You're
Literally,
barking up the wrong
literally.
tree.
Yep.
Yeah,
But you know, it was very interesting. That's what
that's
they you know asked for since they knew we were from California.
that makes sense. That's a
Hmm.
fair question. Now, did you guys go anywhere else, or did you just stay there, kind of thing?
We stayed in Amsterdam, the area. We went to a bunch of different cities in there. since Amsterdam's such a big area.
Space, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely explored a lot. We explored a lot. We walked a lot. I like to compare it to walking like Disneyland every day. Like we literally did that every day,
That's
and
pretty cool.
probably even more. I don't even know. Like my steps were crazy. My legs, my calves were top tier. But yeah, it was
Stretch.
beautiful. It was a lot of fun, and the food. Oh my gosh, the food out there so good because nothing's preservative, no red 40, nothing to worry about. It was just all healthy food. Like I probably lost weight while I was out there,
That's
and all I did
dope.
was eat. It's all I did all week.
Just fresh food, good cooking.
Fresh food, great food.
Did the food have a flavor to it, or was it? Because some
Oh yeah.
European countries, it's kind of boring. The food, you know.
I will say
So,
the native food, like the Netherlands food, was kind of eh. It wasn't that great. It was kind of like very potatoy, very like that's kind of what their specialty is, potatoes, I guess. And they were okay. But we had a bunch of different foods from different cultures, like Indian. They have a lot of Indian food over there. Um, we had really great empanadas, which was interesting.
Ooh,
I didn't think I'd see Argentinian empanadas over there. It was funny because the lady working the counter was Argentinian and she spoke Spanish, and I spoke a little Spanish to her, and she had the brightest smile because she was like, "Oh my gosh, like somebody who actually speaks Spanish here,"
there you go.
And we had a little chat, and it was like super nice to talk to somebody like that, and just kind of brighten their day by just knowing a little bit of the language.
Yeah. Now, have
Yeah,
you
the
ever
food's
been
great.
there, Philip?
I've never been to Amsterdam. I've
Hmm.
been to Scotland, Spain, Portugal. Um, where else have I been? I've been to Paris. I've been to Italy. Um, a lot of different countries. And what I love about traveling um, is that you get to see all the different. It's a different flavor. Just like
Hmm.
traveling in the U.S., you see go to different cities. It's a different flavor. Even in the United States of America,
Yep,
the houses are different. Everything is different.
everything.
Yeah, East Coast houses are brick. Texas brick.
Really?
Everything's
Right.
brick. Hmm.
Hmm.
They need to be.
Yeah, to
Hmm.
withstand the storms and stuff.
Hmm.
That makes sense. Over here, it's all concrete.
Yes, it's all concrete.
Wood, drywall.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, drywall anyways, but just wood, just wood. We probably need. It's probably we probably don't need. Well, after the fire, you could see there was
Mm.
need for it, right? Like, I
Yeah.
have a I have a family member that lives up north, and they're in an area that's kind of a high fire zone, and their
Hmm.
house is all brick, right, with like a
Wow.
metal roof kind of thing,
Yeah.
just to make sure they're in the right space, are protected and ready. But yeah, it's nice to travel because you're on vacation if you're traveling usually too, right? Like
Yep.
if you're traveling, you're not at home, you're moving, you're doing things, you're seeing new stuff. It's just like a new adventure every time,
True.
even if you're tired,
It's beautiful.
even if you're
Yeah.
even if you're exhausted after the first night. Um, so yeah, obviously the big thing right now that's happening are the riots out here. These not riots, I wouldn't say quite yet, but this demonstration in LA.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to be far kind of removed from it, just from the standpoint we're not in the middle of it. I was able to get
Yeah.
on the 101 and drive home kind of thing. But
Hmm.
it's going down. There's a lot of people involved and it's getting pretty messy. What do you think
Yep.
about it, Philip?
Well, I think this is all design because that's what the Project 25 or 20, whatever it is, was supposed to be. And they're setting us up for a civil war, I think, because Trump's got enough people that's behind him and a lot of people that don't like him. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to change this country from a democracy to he wants to be king, even though he's 78 years old and we don't know how many years he's got left on this earth, but he wants to be
Yeah.
king. Mhm.
He would say he doesn't want to be, but he's not acting like it, type of thing.
Right.
Actions over words.
Yeah, it's really crazy I mean, for somebody my age, I've never seen a president like Trump. Think about that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of presidents. and nobody even close to him. You know,
That makes
no,
sense.
nobody. So we just got to pray. You know, I'm gonna see if good wins over evil. That's what I might. You know, the good books always made me believe that. So I'm gonna pray for goodness.
Yeah.
That's
That's
all you
Well,
smart.
can
even
do.
and I was thinking too because we talked about that when Ryan was on our show, and
Yeah.
I even though I always still believe in good, I know that in times bad things do happen, right? And evil does exist, and usually that's when the faith is tested the most, right?
And
Yep.
right
Is
now we're being tested because
that
you
faith?
see evil winning, and you start believing that that's gonna be the way the trend goes. You know what I mean? But it's really sad, and all these rich farmers that uh, voted for Trump, JD Vance is part
Hmm.
of a group that's going to buy up all the farmland. And you know, Trump's got his people with billions of dollars backing that.
Yeah.
And so some of these farms have been 130, 140 years in their family. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of. I'm not even on social media really, but I've seen a lot of people, and I've read a lot of people that voted for him and are like, "What did I do?"
Yeah,
Right? Like,
Hmm.
yes. A lot of
so,
well, especially I love when they're Cubans and they voted for him or they're
Oh
Spanish.
my
Like
god.
what about the wife that got deported and the husband said, but he voted for Trump. And then there was a dairy farmer up in Idaho or South Dakota. One of those, he
Yeah.
owns a huge dairy farm. And this Chinese lady is interviewing him, and this was before the election. And she said, "How many employees do you have?" And he said 536 or something like that. It was a big, 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 big thing. She said, "How many are illegals?" He said about 50%. She said, "Well, if Trump gets elected, he's going to deport all the Hispanics. How is your farm going to run?" He said, "Well, I think I can make it a month if I lost half my employees." So she says, "So you still gonna vote for him?" I mean, it's like you gonna shoot yourself in the head. I mean,
yeah,
it's one thing if somebody else shoots you, but don't shoot yourself. At least try to defend yourself. But all these rich farmers are crying now. I love it. I love looking at YouTube. That's my entertainment now. To hear him crying, oh, I didn't think he would do it. I thought he was just talking. Well, okay.
he's definitely
Yeah.
takes action. That's without a question. If you like it or
And
not.
well, like there's a black comedian. He says, "I still need my melons," but he says, "Please, white people, I need you to go pick them because we ain't doing it. We did
We
it for
ain't doing
200
that.
years."
Well, you've
Yep.
seen more than we have from the standpoint of like, I've seen, I was here during the riots, I remember the riots in LA, the whole Rodney King and just that whole time frame.
Mhm.
I've seen my share of protests. You've definitely seen more in more stages of
Civil
this country
injustices.
and more injustices. So,
Well,
if you're,
it reminds me of the 60s. This is taking me back to the 60s. He's trying to reverse
Well,
it back to the 60s. I mean,
hmm.
he really is. Can you hear me?
yeah, and we
Yeah, we
had,
can hear you.
that was time of
Well,
recruiting,
I
right?
mean, as a
When we had
kid,
to,
sitting at home seeing, firemen spraying people and dogs biting people, and that's where this is headed. I hate to
Hmm.
say it. It's taking us back to the 60s. And I saw that firsthand. We just got to all
yeah,
pray, man. I think that's only, I mean, you and I can't control what they're doing in Washington, D.C., but we can sure pray. And
it's
hopefully
true.
we can change all this. That's what I'm praying that happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We need more
Yeah,
prayers, people. They're out there. Now, it's been a while, and we've talked about this many times, but we only have a few more minutes. So I wanted to
yeah.
bring up
Hmm.
a special book I was reading. Oh, let's see, called
You guys
Storyteller.
got it.
by my boy here,
Wow,
David
thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
Alejandro.
I haven't got my
David
book because I
Medina.
haven't ordered. I got to do that. I'll get my daughter to
Oh, I
show me
bought
how
two.
to
Yeah,
do it.
I bought
You know,
two.
this electronic
appreciate
stuff
that.
I'm not good at. I go to my grandkids and my daughter to order that stuff. I don't know how
No,
to
I
do all that.
appreciate you guys getting the books.
Oh
It's
yeah,
really nice of you guys.
And and I don't know if I
Mhm,
don't think I've told you this, but I really related to it just in
mhm.
the idea of like the stories your mom used to tell you, and that
Yeah,
type of thing. Because for me, that stood out when I was a kid. I used to love when my mom would read these
yeah,
stories and adventures, and like I would just go there with her.
yeah,
So, you know, just to relate to that, and then obviously to read your first story, which drew me in right away.
yeah.
And for a second, I'm forgetting it's
Mhm.
a short story. So I'm like, David, did you just? What? I'm like reading this. I'm like,
Yeah,
did you just admit? And I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is just a short story. I was like, okay, and it's like,
yeah,
you have to remember, I guess people just write things, right? Just like
yep.
lyrics and
right.
songs. If you rap it, it's true. Um, I didn't get too
It's
far,
yeah.
but
Mhm.
I read the first two stories so far, and I'm
Okay,
I'm
cool.
intrigued. So,
Yeah,
and so far, I like both directions, completely different
appreciate
opposites.
that.
They're
Mhm.
just like you said, short little stories. So,
Yep.
congratulations on that. And for anyone who
Thank you.
hasn't read it, go get your copy. It's on Amazon right now. Storyteller. All
Hmm.
right, appreciate it. It was dope.
Thank you.
So, all right, boys. Well, it's a short
Yes.
night tonight for all of
Yes.
us. We'll keep pushing, keep working hard. And I
Let's get it.
appreciate you guys. For everyone listening, have a good day and even better tomorrow.